Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth podcast. I'm Anish Gupta.
I'm Jack Smith.
I'm Shrikar Gendran.
So, yes, we are back at it again with the playoff predictions. Obviously, you guys saw our NFC West predictions, so we're going to go switch over to the AFC side, and we're going to start with the AFC West. Obviously, we did our predictions as same way in the last episodes via this website called playoffpredictors.com. So please be sure to make your own predictions using that same website. I think all three of us found it really enjoyable to predict all 256 games. So feel free to do that. And also, in the next 8 days, we're trying to hit a subscriber goal of 200. So please help us out. I believe we're only 30 away. So we got 8 days. You guys can help us reach that. Really appreciate that. And guys, let's get started with the Denver Broncos. I think if you guys are okay, I can switch it there. If you guys are okay, maybe I can start.
Yeah, no worries.
Get it.
All right. So obviously we did an episode on him. I think Shrikar and I did it. And basically we talked about the development of Drew Lock. I think that was a big key. And the thing with the Denver Broncos that I said was when people ask me why do I have them as the most improved team in the AFC, it wasn't because of the additions they made on defense. It's because I see a big projection and a big upside for Drew Lock. I just picked him in fantasy recently in our fantasy draft. I had a 14-team draft, and I was just discussing it with Jack. I think Drew Lock has the potential to be a franchise quarterback. I think John Elway finally hit the mark on one. And we saw it, right, in the last 5 games that he played, 4-1. Obviously, had a couple game-winning drives that I saw that were really impressive. And with their schedule, it's pretty tough. I mean, the NFC South is no joke. They obviously have to play the Chiefs twice. I think the Chargers are also not an easy out. But that being said, I think, as I said earlier in the Denver Broncos team-centric episode, I had them going 9-7, and in my playoff predictors thing, I had that staying consistent. I think they start off slow by losing to the Titans, but I think they pick up steam right away and beat the Steelers. There are some upsets I potentially see, like them beating the Bills at home. I think that's one that I think you guys might be able to agree with me there. But other than that, I think they're like the Saints. I don't have them beating. But I do have them beating the Chiefs once. So if you guys maybe want to expand on that, talk about the Broncos a little bit and give your record predictions.
I also had them splitting with the Chiefs. And I had them going 9-7 in the Broncos episode. I have them going 8-8 here. But before I get into that, I just kind of want to address an interaction I had with another football fan. So his take was that the Broncos this offseason should assign Cam Newton to start over Drew Lock. And it kind of shocked me at first, but here's my take on it. I mean, obviously the jury is still out on Drew Lock, no matter how high you are on him. But come on, the jury's also out on Cam Newton too, because returning from an injury to play at a high level or something that Bill Belichick expects it's not a guarantee. So why would you risk hurting Drew Lock's confidence by bringing in Newton? And what if Newton goes down early and you got to go back to Lock? And now, because I'm not wishing injury on anyone, by the way, if Newton goes down early in that case and you go back to Lock, you're left with a player you told you're not capable of starting. And that can do so much for a quarterback. So if Lock has the potential to be very good, you got to support him. Like, there are no more excuses for this offense with how much they did to surround Drew Lock with weapons and to make sure he's in the best situation possible. Because even if you believe that Lock's NFL success is in jeopardy, it's proven every few years that a team with, a game manager or a serviceable quarterback can make a deep playoff run. And that team usually has great defense, which the Broncos have, and strong offensive support for their quarterback to win a lot of games. Broncos have both of those. And based on everything that happened this offseason, the Broncos have exactly this type of team. I mean, their supporting cast, I think it definitely fits the bill for what I explained before with that game manager quarterback leading this team to victory. So if Locke is great or does what the bare minimum is, a game manager, I think Denver will challenge for the playoffs. I actually have them making the playoffs as a 7 seed. But as I say all of that, and I said before I have them splitting with the Chiefs, they are still staring up at Kansas City. The Broncos have all the right pieces. I don't think Locke is a bust, but I feel like something is still missing for me to say that they're at the level of the Chiefs of the conference, the Ravens. They're just not there yet. So I think Locke definitely takes some steps forward this season, but there's just so many unknowns in 2020. And there are still unknowns on the Denver Broncos. Like, don't get me wrong. So I say the Broncos, they should, I'll say that again, they should challenge for a wild card spot. We have an extra one now. So I'd say Denver at 8-8 or even 9-7, 10-6 maybe. If everything goes in their favor.
Wait. No, but what's your definitive pick? 8-8?
Oh, 8-8. Because that's what I out on the playoff.
And you think that gets in? That gets in for you?
Yeah, it gets in for me.
Interesting.
It gets in for me.
Do you have any potential big games that you see? Just maybe throwing out.
Well, like you said, I had them splitting with the Chiefs. I think I did have them beating the Bills in an upset. They're definitely gonna be a team to monitor throughout the season as that sort of upset team or that underdog team that somehow ends up winning these games. And as we saw, I know it's a small sample size, but with Drew Lock, his wins were impressive. Like, they were impressive wins. But I think the real challenge this season with the league as a whole is convincing yourself that like a middle of the pack team is going to do that much better, because we have so little evidence from the offseason. All we know of Locke is what we saw last year. So Denver coming off a 7-9 season, I think that can easily fall to 5-11 or rise up to 10-6. Those are my floor and my ceiling, because those 2 wins or 3 wins, either way, it's kind of about turnovers and momentum. It comes down to a few field goals or a first down or 2. It's kind of like, it's just tough to predict, especially this year, as in any year. So I think the Broncos go 8-8. I think you sneak in as a 7 seed. There is a race for that 7 seed, which we'll highlight later when we get to the Raiders and the Chargers. But right now, 8-8, 9-7, I'd even say, but 8-8 is my definitive prediction on the playoff predictors. So yeah, that's what I got Denver going.
I feel like a lot of people this offseason were like really high on the Broncos, and everyone made it seem like a sure thing that Drew Lock would do so well in his second season. And I kind of felt myself over the offseason being one of the people that were less convinced of Drew Lock and the Denver Broncos. I think that just there is a lot of roster turnover, and with no preseason games at all, and new players all over the offense, I think it's going to be difficult for the Broncos to put it all together. But if they do, I mean, they can be a powerhouse in the AFC. I think that there will be some sloppy games. I think there'll be some games that they lose, and I don't think they'll beat any of the more experienced teams. I've got them losing to New England. I've got them losing to New Orleans, because I feel like those teams handle young quarterbacks well, especially New England. I think that's a game that was one of my more solid predictive games, and I don't think they beat a team like Buffalo, who's really, they're firing on all cylinders all the time. And I think that
while they're high on Josh Allen, eh?
No, I'm high on their defense and their coaching, but
okay.
But I think that the Broncos, if they put it all together, can be very good. But I think that their games they put it all together, and their games that they don't. I have them going 8-8, and for me, that is good enough to make the playoffs. I won't tell you what seed yet, but I think that this is kind of a tune-up year, because I mean, their first 4 games, that's starting off with Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, our first 3 games. I mean, that's a hard start to the year, and with no preseason, that's the first.
I got them 1-2 in that. Yeah,
I got them going 0-3, and then picking it up later in the year. But with no preseason, this is the first football they're playing all year against those 3 playoff caliber teams. So I think it'll be difficult, but I think that in their certain games they put it all together, and I think that it evens out towards the end of the year. They're going 8-8, and I think next year you look for this team to jump even higher.
I agree.
I think you guys made great points on it. I think all I'm saying is I think they were a good 7-9 last year. I think they can improve. I think I had 9-7. Jack and Shriek are at 8-8. I think all 3 of us said that was worthy of a playoff spot. Yep. We won't give our seedings right now.